everyone, my name is Emma and I am the play therapist at Words First. In today's short video, we are going to look at understanding children's emotional triggers and how exactly we can support them in the moment. So just to start, we're going to look at what exactly emotional triggers are. What do they look like? So emotional triggers are experiences that can be big, they can be small, that spark that strong emotional reaction in a child and in all of us. We all have different triggers and we all get triggered for different reasons. This could be because of a tone of voice, it could be because of a specific activity, it could be of a social situation. And these responses may stem from past experiences. They can be due to sensory sensitivities, due to communication difficulties or communication differences, or just simply from being overwhelmed in the moment. So now we're going to look at understanding a child's profile and the importance of knowing a child's individual profile, because like I said earlier, triggers are different for everyone, and what triggers one child and what works for one child to support them to become more regulated may not be the same for the next child. So what a child profile essentially does is it helps us understand how they experience the world around them and what helps them feel safe, feel regulated, and also feel heard. We know that while we can't always predict every single emotional trigger, knowing a child's individual profile helps us support them proactively. So when we look at a child profile, what we need to understand or what we need to be aware of is things like their likes and their dislikes, their sensory sensitivity. So for example, things like noise and texture and lighting. We need to think about things like their preferred communication method. So is this verbal? Is it more visual? Are gestures involved? We need to think about things like routines and transitions that work best for them. It's also really important to build a proactive toolkit so we can support those children in the moment. So we're thinking about things like using calming strategies that they respond to. So things like a quiet space or sensory tools. We need to think about offering choices and predictability, and also things like preparing for challenging situations in advance. So I think an important thing to remember here is also collaboration is key. We need to work with families, carers, and support staff to build a full picture. Because obviously we all work around the child, we all know them, and by creating sort of that holistic view on the child, we really are ensuring we provide them with the best possible care. So I think also what's great about these profiles is that we can then stop guessing and we can actually start connecting. So on the right here, you'll just see an example of what a profile might look like. So there's a little section on getting to know the child, and then sort of divided into three different aspects. So we have the more sensory aspect of things, so the calming or regulation toolkit. There's a section that's hidden that's more linked to the emotional aspect. So it's around what makes me happy, what makes me upset, what helps me when I'm feeling upset. And then obviously we have it from a communication side as well. So just thinking about the best ways to communicate or best ways to chat with a child. And then we're just going to look very quickly at spotting the early signs, because obviously spotting the early signs and putting support in place early can hopefully prevent a child going into or feeling dysregulated. So some things that you might see, and again, every child is different, and that's why it's really important to know the children and to have that profile of the child. But you might see things like a child withdrawing, they might express some level of physical frustration, they might become overly dependent on you, or they might completely just shut down. And I think again, just highlighting the fact that these are signs that the child is struggling. They're trying to communicate to you that something is difficult for them, and it's not them misbehaving. They're showing you that they need co-regulation and not necessarily correction in that moment. So now we're going to quickly look at how you can help the child in that moment. So something really important to remember is that we do not always have control over what is going to trigger a child or how they're going to respond to a trigger. But what we do have control over is how we respond to the child in that moment. Another thing to remember, and really important, is that triggers aren't about us. We need to try and not take them personally. They're actually a clue to what the child is carrying. They're trying to communicate something to us. So just a few things you need to remember when thinking about how you're going to support these children in the moment is, one, your verbal communication. So the words you are using. When a child is feeling more emotional, they cannot think rationally, they cannot apply reason. So it's really important that the words you are doing are simple and they are clear and that they are kind. And then going hand in hand with this is our non-verbal communication. Is your non-verbal communication matching the words you are saying? Just thinking about how your body language, your posture, and facial expression support your word. Do they support your words? And then number 3 is your paraverbal communication. So these are things like your tone, your volume, and the pace of your voice, because these will all help a child feel safe. When you are communicating with this child, thinking about things like slowing down your pace, lowering your volume, maybe doing a more sing-songy voice, just to create that sense of safety for that child. And then number 4 is naming the feeling. So helping them, because again, they are not able to communicate or to think logically. They are in their emotional brains. So what can help sometimes is for you to sort of name that feeling for them. So saying things like, it looks like you're feeling really frustrated right now, I'm here. Or it seems like you're really upset right now. And then number 5, addressing immediate needs. So again, helping them feel safe, secure, and grounded. So things like offering time or space or sensory tools, which again, go back to that child profile. While it's really important to remember the child's profile and what works for them, because we know that every child is different. And then lastly, reconnecting later. So it's really important, especially if you've been with them through that dysregulated moment or through that experience, it's really important that you reestablish that relationship. Because what we don't want is a child to feel that shame and embarrassment and then to worry about whether the relationship with you has been impacted. So ensuring that once they are calm and regulated, reconnect, so sort of check in with them, repair if needed, and support that emotional processing in a gentle way, and maybe sort of coming up with some strategies with them, give them that sense of control, saying things like, I could see that you got really upset in that moment because of this. What do you think will work for you next time, or what can I do to support you in that moment? So now that we've gone over sort of what triggers are, what they can look like, I'm going to recommend that you look at part 2 to see how these strategies can actually be implemented.